All right, so this is going to be the last and the final part of why martial artists should lift heavy. But I added some relatable material for law enforcement and military personnel as well. So I already told you what a well-intentioned special agent and some martial arts instructors had to say regarding heavy weights, but listening to that advice will plateau your progress as a martial artist or a tactical athlete, but you'll mistakenly attribute that vast slowdown to age instead. Now, the last time we talked about connective tissue, especially the bones, but today we're going to talk about connective tissue again, but this time your tendons, your ligaments, and your cartilage. So let's start with the tendons. Lifting heavy weights increases the stiffness of your tendons. Yeah, as martial artists, stiffness normally has a negative connotation, but increased stiffness in areas like the Achilles tendon is great because it allows us to use less muscular effort on jumping and repeat jumps, which means that we can jump higher without burning as much energy, and we can spring into consecutive jump kicks because the amount of time we spend on the ground greatly decreases. This increased tendon stiffness helps law enforcement and military too. Now, getting into most federal law enforcement agencies requires a 1.5-mile run, and the Army and the Marines requires a 2-mile run and a 3-mile run respectively. The increased tendon stiffness means you can use less muscular effort per stride because stiff tendons can hold and release more energy. So with tendons helping out in that regard, it takes off some of the demand from the muscles. You can think of this as free energy. Not only that, but getting into these agencies and certain branches of the military normally have a sprint component, like the 300-yard dash for the FBI and the DEA, and the sprint drag carry for the Army's ACFT. This increased tendon stiffness decreases your ground contact time as well as hold and release more energy, so you spend less time on the ground and more time moving forward. Think of it like this. The less stiff your tendons are, the more it'll be like running in quicksand, but the more stiff your tendons are, it's like running on water. Now, next up are your ligaments. Heavy loads, 10 RM or heavier, improve the collagen content of your ligaments, like they do with your long bones. Your ligaments are important for stabilizing your body. The main ligament that seems to always be getting injured is the ACL. For martial artists, if your ACL is compromised, balancing on that leg for a kick is a no-go because the ACL is responsible for stabilizing the knee. Landing jump kicks are another no-go because you need to stabilize your landing, especially for one-legged landings. For law enforcement and military, running is a condition of the selection process and employment. Without a happy ACL and other ligaments, like the ones in your feet, you can't engage in a foot pursuit. You'll be excluded from camaraderie building activities from group PT. Your profile may be forever extended, and basic agent training or other JSTs will be an automatic fail. To prevent that, all you have to do is lift some heavy weights. Now, lastly is cartilage. Cartilage acts as a shock absorber and aids in attaching connective tissue to your skeleton. So if your cartilage is compromised and it can't absorb shock, you'll feel pain in your knees when you land a jump kick and pain in your knees with every stride of a training run or PT test. So what should you do? I already hinted towards this earlier in the vid and explicitly stated it in parts 1 and 2. But start lifting weights that you can manage for a maximum of 10 reps, especially with squats, lunges, deadlifts, and so on. The structural exercises that indirectly or they directly load the spine and the hips. Now, do you feel like I left something out in these 3 videos? Does any of the info in these 3 videos change the way you prepare for a PFT, martial arts, or your career in general? Let me know down in the comments. And with that,